city entities such as New York State, which you can see here in the Ashokan Basin represents most of the land protected in that area. And so if you get all the way to the right-hand side, you can see that the Pacton and Cannonsville, where I'll mention in just a moment, we'll be focusing more of our attention in coming years, we have lower percentages of that basin protected at this point. Cannonsville being the least protected, starting out at 5%, and we've been able to make about an 8 or 9% difference in the last 12 or 13 years. Next slide, Matt. So we just wanted to give you an overview of where we've been and where we think we're headed. Through 2009, we followed pretty strictly the solicitation schedule that I mentioned earlier, moving east to west in the watershed outlined in the MOA. We moved from higher priority to lower priority areas, and we've been working watershed-wide. From this year on, we are envisioning a shift away from areas where we have high levels of protection, as shown on the prior map. So we envision moving away from protected areas, for example, in the West Branch Basin, east of Hudson, Kensico, and even Ashokan, and focusing more of our attention on those basins that have less of their basins protected. And we will be focusing almost entirely on resolicitation, that is to say, recontacting landowners that we've already contacted. So if you have property and you have not yet received a letter from us, it's doubtful that you will into the future, although we always invite landowners to call us, and many do. And some of those may in fact turn into active projects. Next slide, I think, will be Esther's. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm going to be providing an overview of the draft environmental impact statement. For those of you who have not yet seen a copy, you can go online to www.nyc.gov/DEP, and you can download a copy there. We have a few CDs in the back. If you'd like to take a CD with you and review parts of the EIS at home. And I also want to let everybody know that in response to comments received from Delaware County, we've extended the comment period to September 15th. Originally, the comment period was scheduled to end on July 31st. You now have until September 15th to send in written comments, and we will be providing again the addresses at the end of the presentation for where to send those comments to, and also you can pick up a flyer in the back that also gives the information on where to send comments to. Because it's, just to reiterate what Paul said, we're very interested in hearing from you and want an opportunity to respond to your concerns. Tonight, I'll be giving an overview of the 4 impact areas that you see here: water quality, socioeconomic conditions, community character, and the alternatives analysis. The first thing that we did in the EIS process was to project how much land we would acquire under our new permit, which will take us through the year 2022. So Dave Tobias presented the first 2 columns of numbers, which is what we've purchased in the last 12 years. And then for the EIS, we had to project out what we would be purchasing over the next 12 years. And we did what's called an environmental impact statement. We developed a reasonable worst case scenario, which is a high-end projection so that we don't underestimate impacts. So what you'll see here is that based on this reasonable worst case scenario, we would be purchasing more land in the next 12 years than we had in the prior 12 years, which is DEP does not expect to happen, but we did that for purposes of analysis. You'll also see here that, consistent with what Tobias mentioned earlier, the focus of the next permit will be on Delaware County and Greene County. So the projections here show higher levels of acquisition in those counties. Next slide. Starting with water quality, the EIS contains many citations on the benefits that land acquisition provide to water quality. There are a few citations listed here from the National Research Council, which was established by the federal government, a SUNY-Yale study, and a study by the Center for Watershed Protection. And just to review, the National Research Council states that purchasing private land is one of the most important non-structural tools to protect the watershed. A land acquisition program is potentially one of the most successful strategies for source water protection. So land acquisition is well documented as a water quality protection measure. In addition, the way we've structured our program through the use of hamlet designations, we have agreed to avoid purchases in the hamlet areas where development is typically concentrated, and our program is focused more in the outlying areas. And that's also considered a smart growth measure, which is consistent with water quality protection. In other words, it reduces sprawl type development.